This is the 7th video in a series on setting up a character to use Human IK in Maya 2012. In this video, I'm going to continue with weighting and show how I would work up a joint chain. And this typically takes quite a while to do, so hopefully this video won't go on and on. But I'm just going to work on the left of my character, and I'll just mirror all these weights over as I get done here. The first thing I want to check is just what are my default weights. I'll just roll this around. That looks worthless. The foot, pretty terrible. This leg, and nothing is really very usable at all on this right now. So probably the easiest thing for me right now is just going to be reset these to some known default values before I move on here. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the verts of the foot and assign those 100% to the toe. Just make sure I have a nice even span coverage here. And I'll just grow this selection after I make sure I have the selection right. And if your joints get in the way, you can just turn your joints off in the selection mask, just like that, and then you won't accidentally select a joint. Okay, so I've got that selected. I'm going to just press Shift period to spread that out, and that's about where I'd want the toes to work. And then at this point, I'd want there to be a crease happening. So probably on this row right here, there would be a crease from the toe. So for now though, I'm just going to go ahead and weight this 100% to the toe. Again, I'll do this work in the component editor just because it's a little faster. Left toe base, I'll select the top cell, shift select the bottom cell, set that to 1. Okay, those are now 100% on the toe. And then what I'll do here is I'm going to hold the shift key down, and that'll toggle whatever's selected off or on. So it'll turn the toe off and it'll turn the rest of the foot on, like that. And I'll go ahead and pick up the extra verts that I missed in that selection. That looks good. And I'm just going to set those over to exclusively follow the foot for now, because they look like, see, it's following the right foot, the right toe base. They sort of have influence all over the place. Easier just to start from nice known values. So I'll just set that up to 100% follow the foot. And as I weight, I'll clean all that junk up. So now this is ready to be painted. I'll go back into the paint weights tool. So I have the toe selected, and now if I click and move this, you can see getting now, let me just go back to shaded view here. 100% weight following here, and it's actually got influence up here that is non-desirable influence. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that out. So to do that, I can actually see it here, but it would be easier to see that. Let me go ahead and bring up my options. Actually, I'm going to do that through this menu so I don't break my interface. So if I come over here and change my max color to something low like 1%, then I can clearly see, oh, this does have influence over here. And I wouldn't want that, because then when I mirror, I would try to add the influence from the right back to the left. Obviously, I don't want that. So I'm going to set this thing up to a nice hard brush, use the replace mode, opacity 1, value 0, and then just brush out all the weights where they're happening and they shouldn't be. Don't want any over there at all. Don't want any on this leg up here at all. So this is now at 0, and since I'm looking at this at 1%, it should be basically pretty clean. We'll prune small weights again in the end, but this should pretty much be all I need to do. So I'll set my max color back up to 1. It's just easier to work when you can have a little bit of grayscale in there. And then I'll select, I'm sorry, yeah, that's right, I probably do want to do this now. So let me just go ahead and rotate this, get a sense of what that's doing. Obviously it's sort of caving in a place that doesn't make any sense, too far back, and then this is moving too far forward. So I'll want to smooth all this out. So I'll get it in sort of a medium position somewhere around here, and then I'll just start painting this down. And again, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the next joint up the chain, left foot, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this to just add in paint weight to that. So I'll set that value to maybe 0.1 for now, and that'll allow me some flexibility in painting. And I'll go back to a soft brush. So now as I paint this, those points will get pushed back and it'll make a smoother transition. Like that's working well. Okay, and then this outside edge, I'd want this to resist quite a lot through here. So I'm going to resist this and just build it up into a more natural shape here. And again, come back and smooth this after the fact to make sure that you don't have weights pulling wildly different in different areas. That's looking more natural across the edge of the foot. Build that up as it moves in. This side's not looking too bad, actually. I'm sort of alright with that on the inside edge here. Okay, this edge right here just looked a little weird just then. Oops, looks like I got a little influence over here accidentally, so I'll just once again just drop that out. And it looks like I must have had too much control because now that vert's all messed up. Don't need to worry about that too much. It's going to get replaced anyways when I do the mirror. Oh, it looks like that was already on there actually. This is the one that I don't want it to follow at all. Okay. Okay, so let's just see how that's rotating now. So I have a crease now happening here. Again, it's a little bit awkward the way that's creasing on the topology there, but all in all, it's looking okay. I do want it to crease. I don't want it to be a big piece of rubber that never creases. You know, most stuff will crease on organic beings. I was going to say humans, but obviously this is not a human. So now I'm ready basically to come back through here and just smooth this, and that should help quite a lot with what we're seeing in the awkward geometry there. So I'll just smooth across here, and I don't want it to go too crazy through here because I do want it to crease. I just don't want it to be quite as hard as it is. Okay, let me take a look at that. That looks pretty good. So as the toe would come off the ground, it would more or less maintain volume here and start to get that crease point. I think that looks pretty good for this character. So again, I could just go to bind pose here, send that foot back down, and then double check this with a very small value, 0.01 or something like that. And just take a look around, make sure there aren't any areas that are being influenced that you don't expect to be. It's looking pretty good. So now the process would be edit smooth skin, prune small weights, and it'll knock those out, and then lock the left toe base down. So now I can't change the weighting of the left toe base unless I come back and unlock this. I could actually through the component editor and override it, but I can't paint it out over here. So I'm going to set this back to a max value of 1. See, that's actually a much smoother blend than it appeared to be there. And go up to the left foot. On left foot, just take a look at what this looks like in different poses. Obviously, very quirky in the leg. Don't want that to really follow. And in the heel, that's not bad. Actually, for it's creasing a little more than I'd like it to, but I do want it to maintain volume in the foot here and then crease right around there. So that's actually not bad as a default here. although the upper leg is probably being influenced too much by the foot right now. So again, my preference would be come through with a very low value, paint everything out that I don't expect to follow the foot with a value of 0 and replace. So in this case, I'll go ahead and get a little bit broader brush here. Value of 0, replace. Let me see if that left leg, looks like the left leg should have it. So let me try using a harder brush here and just knock that influence of the foot off. And again, I'll blend a little bit of this back in, but I don't want it to, I don't want the leg to follow the foot the way it's doing here. Okay, that'll work for a rough pass. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and smooth what I just did to help fix that up just a little bit. Just go back down to a little bit softer brush here. Something funky's happening here. I would imagine I have some influence that I'm not seeing, like something from the wrong part of the model or something like that. All right, let's see what this looks like now. Okay, a little uglier back here after that blend. Toe up is working better. That part of the leg is not following nearly as much. So I'm all right with that side, and this side would just then need to get cleaned up at this point. So I'll get it up to sort of a reasonable place somewhere around here and then take a look at what's going on paint wise. Might just be able to come through here and just smooth this out. So obviously there's one in there that's just pulling way too hard. Just get a little bit of that influence out of there. And then I can come back with the left leg here and just add that influence to that leg. And that's probably too high. I'm going to probably go with something like 0.2 or something like that. And as I paint this down, it'll just make that crease exactly where I want it, and I can build it up in a nice smooth way. Okay. I'd actually like that volume to be maintained through this one here. Push this one down a little bit so the crease is happening along this span here. That'll look pretty good. And then I'll double check on the foot here and maybe just bring the influence up a hair through here so it starts creasing a little bit earlier. Okay, again, middle click and then take a look at what we got going on. So that volume's maintained until you get around this point, and then you get a good crease. That's looking pretty nice. And then forward looks okay too. Obviously getting quite a lot of a stretch there, but he's got huge feet and very tiny areas that I can distribute that distortion across. Now this, what's happening on the front of the foot, is something else. This point right here most likely is being affected by the upper leg or something like that that I don't expect. So let me take a look at what we got going on influence wise there. So push up to the left leg And again, I'll just try this at a lower value, 0.1, 10%. Left upper leg. So I don't want the left upper leg to have influence in here. I want that weight to be on the left leg itself. Let me just double check that we don't have anything from the right leg influences over here. Looking okay. Okay, so this down here that is the left leg affecting this area here, I probably don't want the left leg to affect this area. I want the left foot to affect that area. So I want to go on the left leg, and because this vert is locked in terms of its influence to the left toe base, when I remove it from the left leg, it will distribute it to the other verts that are the other joints that are currently influencing it. And at this point, this vert should only be being influenced by a few things. So left foot, left leg, toe base, and upper leg. Upper leg makes no sense. I don't want to have any influence from the left upper leg on this thing. So I'm just going to knock those influences off. So again, I'm going to set this up to replace value of 0, and then just brush that influence out. And through here as well. So from this point, I'd want the foot to have control of that. Probably over here as well. Okay, something like that is looking better, and this is just helping blend with its neighbors a little bit here. Okay, do the same thing for the upper leg. I want to knock that influence off here, and that should distribute to the foot. This is the upper leg now. I probably don't want that to be influencing anything in this area either. So I'll just drop that out of these altogether, and then I'll move that foot back down a little bit here. Let's see, did I check that? I'm at 10% instead of 1%, so I just want to double check. And this is why you push down, because there you can see I definitely missed some areas that I don't want to be influenced here. So just drop those out altogether. Nice hard brush, 1%. Make sure they're gone. Okay, so that looks like it's probably going to work out fine now. So now I'll try moving the left foot again. I shouldn't have any verts that move in weird ways. A little bit of a weird thing happening right here in the middle that I noticed right there. That vert seems to be being affected by something that I don't expect it to be. So I'm just going to take a look in the component editor. It looks like it has a very small amount of left leg left in it. So again, this is the place for prune small weights. And then I'll just come back and smooth that over. I'll set my max influence back to 1. Allow me to see that grayscale a little bit better. And I'll just smooth through here. That's considerably more smooth than I bargained for, actually. Let me undo that and get a sense of what's happening here. And that looks good in terms of smoothing what I'm getting up here, but this was a pretty drastic change. Let me just see what we're getting. don't think I like that. I'm just going to leave that one non-smooth then. Smooth is not always the way to go here. I just need to even it out across those verts sort of manually. I want that to crease, and I like the way this is rotating right now. Heel is looking nice. The front of the foot is looking pretty good, just got a few places in here that are moving a little bit different than their neighbors. Not even too bad actually. When I'm looking at the topology, it doesn't look bad at all. Yeah. Only thing I'd say looking at this is, see how this span is caving in here. I probably would want that to hold a little bit more. So again, I'll go to the next joint, up the chain, go back to add, maybe 5% in this case, and just add this in so that that resists a little bit better. Make a nice small brush here. You can really tell in profile view what you have going on. Again, maintaining volume is the thing here, and you want your body to crease and not just bend all over the place like a piece of rubber. So that's looking better. Now I got that crease point happening here. Okay, that's more or less what I'd want that foot to look like. Okay, so once you're done with that, again, last check, even though I already checked it, I'm going to check one more time, 0.01, take a look at what that influence is looking like. Definitely a little bit awkward up here that there's, the way this falls off is in a pretty rough way. Let me take a look at what I could do about fixing this up. So I'm going to try first just a basic smooth on here. And part of this is just that it's at 1%, and part of it is it's a little bit of a rough weighting on here. Like obviously this doesn't make sense that this would have more influence up here. So let me just go ahead and lose some of the influence up in this region here. Let's just drop this back out again. Just make nice clean topology here by not having areas above affected and some below affected. And now I should be able to come through and smooth this to even that out. So that should help. Now these should be a little bit on the jagged side because of the way the toe is working. And it doesn't look like the foot is affecting anything else besides what I expect it to. So that's really what I was checking there. I'll just do prune small weights here. Double check how that works. Back of the foot looks good. Front of the foot's looking good. So I would call that one done. I'll just go back to the bind pose here. So that means I would then go to the left foot and lock it. And then I'm going to continue working up the chain. This is already getting to be quite a long movie. This stuff takes a while to really make look good. So I would just continue this same exact thing as I moved up here. And so I'll do another video where I cover problem areas, which the knee and the hip very well may be. So I'll just do that in another video so that this video doesn't get any longer than it already is.